In my opinion, you are without a doubt one of the best wrestlers pound for pound in your weight class, alongside with Danny Hodge, Dean Malenko, Tiger Mask, and Dynamite Kid. Tell us who your favorite light heavyweight was growing up. My favorite light heavyweight growing up would simply be very easy. Would have to be Bob Backlund. I started watching wrestling in 1980, and he was the world champion, 1980, 1981. So I would definitely have to say Bob Backlund was one of my favorites growing up. One of your main purposes for your visit to Israel is to hold a training camp and help the new generation of IPWA wrestlers. In your opinion, what is the most important thing a wrestler in training must learn? Well, in my opinion, the most important thing that I learned would have to be psychology. It's not about going out there and doing 500 moves for no reason. You're better off doing 2 to 3 moves at the right time. Telling a story in a match is very important. So psychology would be the most important. People think you get in the ring and you could do 500 Frankensteiners and you're the best wrestler. Not true. Psychology is the name of the game. UWFI Bushido was real big here in Israel. What was it like working shoot style, and how important was it to make people think that it was 100% legit? I love the shoot style. I was a amateur wrestling in school, which basically is shoot wrestling without the submission. In amateur wrestling, the object is not to go more than 90-degree angles and stuff like that, because you could actually break people's bones. Where in shoot-style wrestling, when you're going for submissions, the object is to go more than 90-degree angles to the point of break before actually maybe possibly breaking somebody's bones. That's why they would tap out. So I just loved adding the submission to the ability I already had. I already knew how to be a wrestler. I already was an amateur wrestler. I was captain of my wrestling team. So they only had to add the submissions, and I got very lucky to be able to train with Billy Robinson, Danny Hodge. I got very lucky. Good times. What were your favorite memories from ECW? There's not just one memory. ECW was a big point in my career. It was the first time I was actually to get a chance to travel outside of New York and to learn how it is to be in front of cameras and learn how to work the cameras. One of my favorite moments would have to be, I guess, the night that me and Tracy Smothers, of course, won the ECW tag team titles for the first time. I guess that was a special moment. How did the FBI gimmick come to be? Paul Heyman was the man that came up with the FBI gimmick. A lot of people think I was the original FBI, which is actually not true. J.T. Smith is actually the one who started the gimmick. He was doing it by himself. He was a black man that was doing an FBI gimmick. Like he got hit in the head with a frying pan, he woke up and he thought he was Italian. And Paul Heyman had him as the full-blooded Italian J.T. Smith. And then he added me in the mix as the FBI member. And then it was me and J.T. Smith. And then from there, once J.T. left, I carried the gimmick on through many other partners and all the way up into WWE. What was it like working for the WWE? How did it feel? What was your favorite moment, and how different was it from ECW? Well, working for WWE was a dream come true. Obviously, if you want to be a wrestler, the object is to one day go and work for Vince McMahon. So obviously it did, it felt great. Had it different from ECW? It differed in many different ways, I guess. But, ECW was my, I guess you could say the way, my training grounds. It was like a lot smaller group, and I was able to learn a lot of things that you do need to know when you get to the big time. It was just ECW was WWE on a much smaller scale. We were on basic cable. We didn't expand to the millions and millions that the WWE did. So, but I think ECW got me ready to go work for the WWE. Often people disrespect and don't appreciate the art of pro wrestling. What do you tell people who don't appreciate the sport? Well, I don't tell them anything. Not everybody's gonna like wrestling. I don't think the people that make fun of it and say things about it are people that don't understand pro wrestling. I hear from a lot of people say, "Oh, how can you watch that crap? It's fake. Everybody knows the ending." Well, it's not true. You don't know the ending. Just because the two wrestlers in the ring know the ending, it's all about you being surprised. It's kind of like going to a movie. When you go to the movies, what do you always say? Don't tell me the end. Don't tell me the end. Because they know the end, but you don't know. So it's the same thing in pro wrestling. Just because we know, it's the excitement of the fan not knowing and wanting their character to win. If you wanted Randy Orton, you want Randy Orton to win. And that's how you sit on the edge of your seat, because when the guy's about to get pinned, you don't want your guy getting pinned. So I compare it a lot to the movies. When you go watch Rocky, before you go to the theater, you know Clubber Lang's not punching Sylvester Stallone in the face, but you use your imagination and you run with that. Well, that's the same thing with pro wrestling. They go out there, they could put on a good match, entertaining, goes back and forth to have the wrestling fan on the edge of their seats until the final finish of the match. So I compare pro wrestling to just like making a movie. You go in there knowing nobody's getting blown away, nobody's getting shot, but you use your imagination. When a guy walks in there with a machine gun and starts blowing people away, you're like, oh man, use your imagination. That's the same thing about pro wrestling. And that's what people, I think, don't understand about pro wrestling. WWE do not want to come to Israel, even though we have all their TV programming. Some say due to political reasons, as they don't want their passport stamped with Israeli stamps to avoid boycotts from Islamic nations. Others say it's because of the fear of not selling out their events. From your experience, what do you think about the situation? Well, I guess I'm just making an observation. I have no idea why. I mean, it's all about making money. So 9 times out of 10, you would always go to where your product airs on TV if the fans know who you are. I've been in WWE for 8 years and refereeing. The company's never been to Israel with me. I never really heard anything about it. So, I mean, I can't sit here and tell you why I think that the WWE doesn't go to Israel, because I have no idea. Finally, a Passover bash, April 19th. You will come to Israel to do a training camp, meet the fans, and face Rabbi Switzer, who is hungry for a win over a former WWE superstar after suffering a loss of the hands at Tatanka. What should Israel fans expect when you step foot in the IPWA ring against the Rabbi? Well, the fans are going to expect what I do, and what I do best is put on a great performance. Not really sure. Hopefully the Rabbi could run with me. You know, he didn't do too well with Tatanka, so we'll see how he does with Little Guido, Nunzio. But the fans are going to get the Nunzio or the Little Guido that they've known from TV or they've watched on TV. It's going to be the same one, and I'm going to put on the best match I can, and hopefully have a good one.